welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to go talk about 5 day trips that you can take from Columbia, South Carolina. Some of them may be in South Carolina, some may be in North Carolina, and some are in Georgia. But stay tuned and we're going to hit them all.
Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about 5 day trips you can take. And if you like things like this or videos like this, be sure to like the video. And if you haven't already, subscribe.
All right. Well, I am Heather.tiedman and this is
Jonathan.tiedman.
And we are the Lexington group powered by eXp Realty. We are realtors here in the Columbia area of South Carolina, and we like to make videos on all things South Carolina related. So if, like he said, if you like content like this, please drop a comment down below and let us know what kind of video you would like to see next week. So let's get started on our 5 day trips you can take from Columbia, South Carolina. Got my handy dandy notebook, and our first day trip is Charleston, and Charleston is one of my favorites, hands down. Like, you love Charleston too, right?
I really do, yeah.
So Charleston is voted one of the most beautiful cities. A lot. It's most years, I do believe. Some notable things in Charleston are Rainbow Row, which is a row of homes that are painted different colors, and it's a lot more exciting than it sounds, but it is a lot of fun. And then there's the Angel Oak Tree, which I know you really enjoyed.
Yeah, we went to go see the Angel Oak Tree some years back, and I know a lot of people coming from like Nevada and Colorado and things like that. There's not a whole lot of variety of trees, mostly just pines. But when you come to South Carolina, there's lots and lots of beautiful trees, and the Angel Oak is one of them. It's a tree that comes out of the ground. It has limbs that wave around and come off the ground, like, honestly, like tentacles off of an octopus. I mean, it's just an impressive sight. And they have sections of it boxed off so that you don't touch them or damage the tree at all. But it's a really huge tree and definitely a sight to see.
Yeah, for sure. And then some beaches that you would like to visit are like Folly Beach. That is very popular. That's one we typically go to, is Folly. It's a lot of fun, very family friendly. And then there's also the Isle of Palms, which is a very nice beach, actually, that has, you know, like volleyball nets and things like that. Again, another family friendly beach. And then lastly, in Charleston are the Tanger Outlets. I mean, there's a lot of other things in Charleston, but just a few things that we're going to touch on. The Tanger Outlets. I love going to the Tanger Outlets. Shopping. You know.
Shopping is always great, and it beats a lot of the malls because Tanger Outlets, if you don't know, are outside. So the stores themselves are inside, but instead of walking inside of a mall, you walk outside on like a concrete path, and they have benches and things there. And usually there's like a waterfall and stuff for you to see in the center and things like that.
Yeah, and typically in outlets, things are a little bit cheaper than you would find in their typical store. So like the Old Navy outlet would have clothes there, and those are typically not nearly as expensive as you would find in a regular Old Navy or a Nike store or anything like that.
And it's a fountain, not a waterfall. Water goes up, not down. Just had to clear that up. So if you like beaches, we're going to talk about another one, but the beaches in Charleston tend to be less crowded in my experience. So if you're not really a people person, but you still want to go to the beach, definitely like Folly Beach I'd prefer over another one where it's actually right now, Myrtle Beach.
Which is your topic, Myrtle Beach.
So there's a lot of different things in Myrtle Beach. One of my personal favorites is the Ripley's Aquarium. When we went there, we took our kids, and it's just beautiful sea creatures and things for people to learn. And my son especially loves learning new things about creatures and all sorts of things like that. We don't have a whole lot of horseshoe crabs down here in South Carolina, which was something that was very common in New York. But my kids got to see horseshoe crabs at the Ripley's Aquarium.
Another thing that we like to doing is going to Broadway at the beach. There's a lot of restaurants, a lot of shopping. If you like the nightlife, they also have a lot of bars and stuff in there. There's also like a little like amusement park type thing there. The kids love it. That is one of our favorite things to do, is do Broadway at the beach.
And Joe's Crab Shack. I really like Joe's Crab Shack.
Dude. Another thing is Dolly Parton's Pirate Voyage. It's like a dinner and a show type place. Extremely popular. A lot of people love doing that. And then lastly is the Ripley's Believe It or Not Museum. There's not really much to say about it other than there's a bunch of stuff that you may or may not believe.
But believe it or not, it is there. Right there in Myrtle Beach. Just one day trip away.
which brings us into our third topic, which is actually where we're going this weekend. This Friday, we are heading out to Helen, Georgia. This will actually be our first time ever visiting it, but we are super excited about going. I've done a little bit of research on it. It's in the mountains. Depending on the time of year you go, that depends on what you're going to go do there. It's a little German-inspired village. If you're going in the summer, they have like a really cool rapids to ride down in your tubes and stuff, swimming and all that kind of stuff. And then in October, they have Oktoberfest, and they go all out. They have like German beer, and it's like a whole, German-inspired Oktoberfest, which we're going to have to go next year because I really wanted to go to Oktoberfest. I don't even drink beer, but
I love beer, so she really just wants to go for me.
Sure. And then what we're going to do is I think it's rated one of the top 10 Christmas towns in the U.S.
I've heard stories about how beautiful it is now. Like we said before, we haven't been there yet, but we're very excited to go. Kids are excited to go. So we're going to leave coming this Friday. So if you're in Helen, Georgia and happen to have seen this video by chance, say hi.
Yeah. Which will bring us right on to our fourth, I cannot count, and that is Charlotte.
No, we've already done Charlotte, haven't we?
No, we're always starting the video over.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Charlotte is in North Carolina, and it's about an hour to an hour and a half, depending on where you live in Columbia. And one of my favorite places about Charlotte is Carowinds. Carowinds is an amusement park that sits on the South Carolina-North Carolina border, and there's actually a spot where you can stand in South Carolina and North Carolina at the same time, which is pretty cool. Doesn't feel any different, but you're there.
Yeah. And then they have a ride there. It's a NASCAR-inspired ride. What is it called?
Oh, Fury Road? Is that it?
No, I don't know. But I rode that ride and I got really sick. The Intimidator.
That's it.
And it intimidated me. But speaking of NASCAR, that is very big in Charlotte. There's also the NASCAR Hall of Fame. There's also a lot of stadiums like the Bank of America Stadium, as well as the Spectrum Center, which is where there's a lot of concerts and things that are happening. I've gone to quite a few concerts at the Spectrum Center. Another place is the Discovery Place Science Museum, which is fantastic if you have kids.
Yeah.
They love it. There's like a lot of STEM stuff. So
there's a lot of interactive learning there, so if your kids really like to be hands-on and really get involved in it when they're doing things rather than just kind of reading a paper, that could be something for them. And before we get away from Charlotte, I do want to mention, if you guys do wind up going to Carowinds, there's a ride. It's almost like an elevator. It's a giant dome, and it takes you up, and you can look over the entire city of Charlotte, and it's just super beautiful. And have to. I've been to Carowinds probably 4 or 5 times, and I've only been on that ride once, and it was the most recent time, and I'll go every time after that just because of how beautiful it was.
Oh yeah, you really enjoyed that ride?
I do.
That's awesome.
Especially with my back now.
Yeah.
That's about the only ride I can take.
And then lastly, there's a lot of stuff in Charlotte. I highly recommend it. We went to a Korean barbecue place there, which was excellent.
Oh, soul food. No. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
soul food.
Yeah,
super
it
good.
was so good. But if you like shopping, there's the South Park Mall, which is a huge mall, lots of shopping. Also family friendly if you want to take your kids there, if your kids enjoy shopping. So those are, great places to go, family friendly. And then also there's plenty of nightlife in Charlotte if you want to have a night away without the kids. So speaking of nightlife, that'll move us right on to our last and final and one of my favorite places to go, and that is Savannah, Georgia. So talking about Savannah, Georgia, it's haunted. Well, that's what they say. I have not witnessed any ghosts myself, but there are plenty of ghost tours that you can take. I went on one personally, and it was so much fun. They take you to all these bars you can have, you get a drink. You go to either the basement or their attic, and they tell you all the history of the place, what ghosts reside there, and things like that. Then they take you to the cemetery, and honestly, hands down, one of my favorite things to do in Savannah, and I highly recommend it to anybody. Another thing that I recommend is like they have a lot of bars and restaurants and shopping, and it's on like a strip, and you're looking over the water, and that is amazing. It's so much fun just going out and eat and just having a very nice view while you're there.
Now Savannah's, that's like Tybee Island. That's off the river, right? That's not part of the ocean.
No, Tybee Island is
Part of the ocean.
Part of the ocean.
Is
yeah,
that where
it's
the
a
river
beach.
touches it?
I'm not 100% sure. But like Tybee Island is not necessarily in Savannah, but it is a very close drive to Savannah. And Tybee Island is a beach that a lot of people like to go to. I believe we've been one time.
Yeah, if not once, twice. We've definitely been there before, and it is a beautiful beach.
And it is a lot of fun to go. Just another beach. It's not quite as crowded as like say Myrtle, but it is a little more crowded than maybe like Edisto or something like that. And then lastly, they have trolley tours as well as ferry tours where they'll take you around and they'll tell you the history, because Savannah is a very, very history-rich town. And honestly, you could stay there for a week and not hear all the history that is going on in that town. Now, those were our 5. Know that there is so much more to do in these towns and these places that we touched on.
Yeah.
We just touched on a few of our favorites.
And a lot of these things are just second nature to us that we don't even realize are really like events or things like that. Because if you're coming from places like Montana or things like that where fishing is not very popular, when you come to a state that's on the East Coast, you might want to fish, and it could be a big event for you, and we just don't realize it. But in all the beaches and the rivers you could fish in and things like that. So there's really a lot more in these places outside of the main attractions, just second things that you wouldn't even think about.
And I do plan on having another video like this, because there are a lot of places here that are day trips. That is one of the most amazing things about South Carolina, and especially Columbia area of South Carolina, is within a few hours drive, you could go to a lot of different places and experience a lot of different things. That's why, we have the beaches close by, the mountains close by, big cities. It's a lot of fun. That is one of the reasons why we love South Carolina so much, because there's just so much to do here. And if you like all things South Carolina, again, like and subscribe this video, and drop a comment down below and tell us what do you think would be your favorite day trip. And until next time, I think we may be taking next week off because it is Christmas week, so we may not be posting a video next week unless we throw in a little surprise, maybe. But yeah, so until next time, we enjoyed it, and we will see you here
in 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Bye guys.